Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video as I continue my reviews into the Superman franchise. This is a video I wasn't sure if I was going to do or not, but figured screw it. I mentioned it before. Recently I reviewed Superman 2, which I do enjoy. I do think it's a solid sequel. I think it's better than a lot of superhero movies in today's age. I do have issues with it, but I like Superman 2. I'm not a fan of the Richard Donner cut. I'm sorry, this is coming from a guy that loves Superman the movie. Superman the movie is one of my favorite superhero films of all time. I'm a fan of Richard Donner. I like Lethal Weapon. Quite a few of those films, actually. I like... I reviewed the Lethal Weapon films a long time ago. Let's see. The Goonies I enjoy. Even like 16 Blocks I don't mind that he did, which starred Bruce Willis. But this cut, I think, sucks. To be blatantly honest. I don't really get why people love this cut more than the theatrical cut, but teach their own. I know I'm alone in this, but I still don't give my honest opinion on it. Why do I dislike this cut so much? Because I heard it pimped out and praised so much. I was very curious about it because I like Superman 2. I'm like, I wonder what, the original director... And of course, he wasn't able to shoot the whole thing. He was a chunk of it. So to do the best that you can with what you have. But I'm not talking about the backstories or what was planned. I'm talking about what was on the screen. And people tell me, not telling, but what I read, what's on the screen is so much better than in the theatrical cut. And I don't agree at all. From the opening. The opening theatrical cut I thought was better. I thought it was nice to see Superman in a new action scene where he's in Paris and he stops these terrorists and takes this big bomb out into the atmosphere, saves the Eiffel Tower. I like the little remark he gives Lois. I believe this is your floor. And that smile. I thought that was a nice little action scene. Because for the first hour and a half, you don't get a lot of Superman action. Except maybe when Superman saves that little boy at Niagara Falls. Especially, and mainly in the Richard Donner cut, that's all you see until the battle at the end. I mean, you think about it, in this Richard Donner cut for Superman, I'm talking about Superman. What do you see from Superman? The Niagara Falls scene and the battle. That's it. Because even the battle in the Fortress of Solitude, there really is no battle. Which I forgot about that until I rewatched it again. But if the opening of the Richard Donner cut, it's having a condensed version of the ending of the first movie. And they show that the rocket that Superman pushed off into space fucked up, and it fucked up the Phantom Zone thing where the 3 Kryptonians are now released. I did not like that because it made it seem, okay, this happened right after the first film. I liked in this film, it seems like there's been a bit of time since then. I don't know why. I like that, okay, there's been some time, especially when you're getting to the point that Superman's like, oh, I've done enough for humanity. You can maybe have the inkling of, okay, well, it's been, some say 1980, but technically you say 1981 Superman 2 came out. And then Superman 1 was 78. So you could say maybe it has been 2-3 years in between the movies. But here it's right after. Which makes Superman just giving up. I've done enough. What? Just makes a little less sense. And then, you know, the footage that they try to have, I mean, they put 2005, 2006 effects, because that's when this, I think this cut what came out. Just doesn't gel right with the rest of the picture. And then in the Donner cut, when Zod is released and he's like, free! And I'm like, is like Darth Vader, no! And Revenge of the Sith? I mean, it might as well be Zod going, free! Bird? I mean, you love Free Bird? It's just fucking ridiculous. And then they go off. I just thought the Lester opening was better. Again, it shows that I know everyone was talking about how silly Richard Lester's cut is, but right from the beginning you see them kill a Kryptonian guard. Granted, it's a robot, but you see, was it nine, like, break the motherfucker's neck? And shows the crime they were committing and why they got imprisoned. And then it shows, it doesn't have the free bullshit. And then it shows an action scene with Superman, which again, you're not going to get see Superman for a while. So it was nice to see him at least from the get-go. You don't get that in the Donner cut. So right there, the Lester cut wins. Another thing I didn't like is Lois Lane is like, you Superman, huh? I'm gonna jump out this window of this high-rise fucking building. I'm gonna fall to my death because I think you're Superman and you're gonna save me. It makes Lois seem like a psychotic bitch, like a psycho bitch. It just, it's like, Lois, what if you were wrong? You'd be dead. Someone even made an edit on YouTube. You'd be splattered on the ground and they have to pick you up like a pancake. Get a damn spatula for your ass. You're dumbass. It just makes Lois seem stupid. In the Lester cut, it made more sense that, okay, I'm going to dive a teeny bit down to the stream. Which even then, when you watch the Donner cut, Clark Kent is outside for everyone to see, and he's using his heat vision. No one else is seeing this shit? Wait a minute, there's that guy in the glasses, and he's using heat vision to this one thing so that Lois can, safely drop down. No one's watching, no one sees Clark Kent going, zzz. At least when he's helping Lois, there was no one around to see him. But here, it's like everyone could see his sorry ass doing the zzz. Or all those, like, we see the heat vision is in the reality of the movie, heat vision invisible for, what is that red beam coming out of that guy with the glasses eyes? And just the idea of Lois, like, Lois going to a stream, at least she's not going to die right there, and, she can have wiggle room, and it wasn't as dire as jumping off a high-rise fucking building. It just, in the way the Donner cut, Lois just seems much more dumber and psychotic by doing stupid shit like that. Just fucking ridiculous. So that's another reason I like the Lester cut better. So right off what do we have so far? Lester cut. Oh, gives us a little action scene with Superman at the beginning. Donner, nope. You're not going to see Superman do much shit other than save that kid, which is also in the Lester cut. You're not going to see him do anything, even though this is a Superman 2, you're not going to see him do anything until the battle at the end. Okay. Oh, we're gonna have Lois stupidly jump off a building. Okay, that's dumb. It makes Lois look like a fucking moron. I mean, if that's the case, why don't you just get a fucking little knife and you trip and you cut Clark? Or you try to give him like a little paper cut and say it's an accident. Wait, you didn't get cut. Like, or any other fucking things instead of jumping off a fucking building. Another thing, in Niagara Falls, in the lesser cut, Clark Kent trips, his hand is in the fire, she notices it, and then she's like, maybe you unintentionally did that on purpose. I know that didn't make sense, but maybe secretly you wanted to be found out. In the Donner cut, she has a gun, shoots Clark Kent. Kent's like, well, what if you killed Clark Kent? And Lois says, what, with a blank? I don't know, that scene just rubs me the wrong way. I get that she was firing a blank. But I don't know, it just... Even if it's a blank gun, just, you know, Lois pointing it at Clark Kent. I don't know, just... I thought the way it was done in the Lester cut seemed more... easygoing is not the right word I want to use, but just seemed... It sounds stupid, but it seems sweeter in a way. I mean, if you think about it, as Superman, there's going to be a time where he's going to slip up, and if Lois, unless she's an idiot, you know, she is going to notice, so the lesser cut never bothered me the way that happened. Plus in the Donner cut, if he got shot, wouldn't he, like, notice? Or why the hell didn't he catch the bullet like he did in Superman 1? If there was a bullet. I understand he wouldn't be hurt, but wouldn't he at least feel the bullet bounce off of him? But like, wait a minute, I didn't feel anything bounce off of me. So, I mean, Superman couldn't tell that was a blank. But whatever. Another thing I noticed rewatching it again, and the Donner cut, they re-edited where Superman and Lois have sex before he's human. Which, I wonder if Bryan Singer saw that cut for his Superman movie. Just like, how come Superman's son has powers? But granted, I could go into the whole Kevin Smith Mallrats. His load was shooter in the back, explode like a shotgun. Only Wonder Woman has the strongest womb. Didn't go into the whole Mallrats thing, but it's just... Isn't one of the reasons for Superman to want to become human is so that he can have a relationship with Lois? But if he can fuck Lois, like the Donner cut suggests, why the fuck is he turning human in the first place? I mean, if they can consummate their relationship and fuck and, you know, they're huddled in a bed, he did that while Superman super humping, super pumping, then why even become human in the first place? The other things you can work out and still have your powers. And then the one of the biggest changes is that Marlon Brando's scene was put back in, which I know on the commentary Richard Donner really hampers on the, sorry, I'm moving my shirt, hampering on the Richard Lester cut. Like, how could they take out the Marlon Brando scenes? You know what? I saw them. I like Marlon Brando. They weren't this game-changing sequence of events that was a make it or break it deal for whatever version of the movie. I'm sorry, it wasn't. First off, in that scene, it's other footage with Christopher Reeve, and he just comes off as more of a whiny brat, where when Marlon Brando's talking to him and Superman's going, haven't I done enough? Like, more harsh. Like, he's more harsh when saying it. Like, when he's talking to his mom in the Lester cut, he seems more easygoing and more... Again, I don't like the idea that he decides to quit his powers in part 2. That's still the thing in both versions. I'm still... That's one of the issues I had with Superman 2. But this, Superman comes off as more of an asshole. Like, haven't I done enough for them? And done enough? Based on this, it's only the next day after Superman 1. No, you haven't done enough. For all I know, it has been only 1 or 2 days. That's what it seems like. So I call bullshit. And it just, the way Christopher Superman just seems like an asshole, which I did not like. Didn't seem more angry and harsh when he was talking to Marlon Brando. And I never understood. I know Richard Donner and his buddy Tom Mankiewicz hated the idea of the mom being used. I don't understand that. We got all we had of Marlon Brando in the first movie. The setup, he taught him from when he was a teenager to when he was an adult. He was a teacher. Now he's Superman. Then in Superman 2, okay, the mom, you do know, Richard Donner, that Superman does have 2 parents, right? You do know that. And for most abandoned kids, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, they think of their mom more than their dad. You know, you look at, you know, the more of an affinity, and at least based on some studies. So to me, it just made sense. Granted, they did because they didn't want to pay Marlon Brando money. But at the same time, why shouldn't the mom get something to do instead of a retread of the first movie? Again, just saying. And then the Marlon Brando scenes were much to run home about anyway. Not enough for people to be like, oh, well, this is... I know for most people that's why it's better. I disagree. Let's see other differences. When the 3 Kryptonians arrive in that small town, there's quite a bit of stuff they cut out of that scene. They cut out action bits, like when Ursa is blowing away the helicopter and they make it crash and kill people. Or they make one Jeep like jump and it crashes through a building, like the top part of a building. Some little stuff with the character, like Nan. I liked that in the Lester cut that, you know, he was deadly, but he was kind of childlike, so he would do these childlike things. It made Nan have, you know, I don't know, a bit more of a personality. But in Donner's cut, this character has no personality at all. So I disagree with that. Just made the scenes in the town a lot less interesting. Two things I would give the Donner cut over the lesser cut. Number one, the opening credits. The opening credits of Superman 2 has that classic like in Superman 1. I'll give you that. Number two, there's a scene where the Kryptonians are in the White House. That is a better action scene. It's better shot. More stuff happens. It's better editing. I'll give you that. Like I said, I'll give you that. Those two scenes. But that's really it. I mean, another thing that's different is when Superman, he's lost his powers, he needs them back, he goes back. The way it was done in Lester's cut, I was fine. He finds his crystal, he's looking at it, it cuts away, and then we as the audience can think, what's happening next? What's going to happen next? What's happening next? Like, I mean, he's going to come back as Superman, but, when? And there's a sense of mystery, and you didn't need to know how he got his powers back. There's the crystal, it's lighting up, it's the last crystal, done. And the Donner cut is just, here's Marlon Brando, okay, you don't use this crystal, and Clark Kent, Christopher Reeve is shifting his body as if he's got the Boogie Woodies. And then the shitty effect of this white light as if, I don't know, he's going to turn into fucking Inframan or something. If you want to talk about cheesy, that's cheesy if you want to use that word. Since people use that word all the time. I got enough information from him just looking at that crystal and then cut to get to the battle. And that's one of the biggest flaws with the Donner cut. You take away the best line. General, would you care to step outside? Why the fuck would you take that line out? Someone please explain to me. And the line added there is literally, what was it? You have something against the freedom of the press, General? What the fuck is that shit? Do you have something against the freedom of the press? How is that better than General? Would you care to step outside? Someone explain that to me. Please do. I'll say it slowly. Please explain that to me. So yeah, the Lester cut in that part is definitely better. And then the Battle of Metropolis, it's shorter in Donner's cut. The differences I noticed, instead of Superman being hit into a building, he's hit into the Statue of Liberty. I'm fine with taking that out because I found that annoying that it's supposed to be Metropolis. If it's Metropolis, why the fuck is the Statue of Liberty there? That's New York. It just makes me go, well, wait a minute. I thought this was Metropolis. Are we in New York now? And I'm like, so if it's New York, call it fucking New York. So Metropolis just happens to have the same Statue of Liberty that New York has. I know that sounds like a stupid rationale, but still it's like, if this is Superman in his fantasy, Metropolis can look like anything. Why do you have the that was annoying in Superman 4 as well. To the point, are they in Metropolis or are they in New York? And that stuff just annoyed me. It's like, Just call it fucking New York then if you really want to go the extra route. If you're going to have all these New York landmarks, why don't you just fucking call it New York anyway? Do this in the comics. Well, if you don't follow the comics that much, then make Metropolis Metropolis and not New York. So I was fine with that being cut out of the Lester version. The one bit I liked is when he's ready to punch Ursa. She's like, "What, do you hit girls?" And he turns around and he smacks Non right in the face and he twirls and hits a building. That's another part I like. If you take the opening credits, that one part where he punches Non and the White House scene, and you put those three in the Richard Lester cut, great. I'd be fine with it. But those are the only three things in the Donner cut I liked more. Like, seriously. And the battle just seemed longer in the Lester cut. And then when you get to the Fortress of Solitude, I forgot how boring it was in Donner's cut. I mean, I complained a little bit in the Lester cut where, yeah, it's weird that they're teleporting, but I figured, okay, it must be like maybe the machinery of the Fortress of Solitude, or, well, that sounds stupid, but there's certain things in the Fortress of Solitude you can do. And, you know, the thing with his ass, and it's like a, what the hell did I call in the last video? I forget what I call it, but, you know, he puts this weird bubble net, whatever the hell you want to call it. But you know what? I'll take that over just talking and talking and talking. I mean, at least in the Lester cut there was some excitement, like when the three villains are firing there and Superman is, and then does this and pushes them all back and knocks them on their ass. Moments like that were nice. Now I'll take Superman doing this with the fucking S and net over nothing. I mean, nothing. Oh, and then of course at the end where, yeah, the kiss. Although I remember reading somewhere, I don't know if this is true, and I have not uploaded the other Superman reviews. I'm pre-recording these. So if you told me already, sorry. But I remember reading somewhere, and I could be wrong, that the kiss was kind of in one of the comics of Superman. I could absolutely be wrong. But even so, I mean, the kiss that gives Lois amnesia, it's wanty and like what? But it's a hell lot better than turning around the world a fucking din. Yeah, go around the world again. If he could do that, why the fuck didn't he do it 20 minutes in? Or 20 minutes ago? Or in the Donner cut, he blows up the Fortress of Solitude. Why did he destroy the Fortress of Solitude? Well, because he can't talk to his dad anymore. But wouldn't it be nice to, I don't know, go there to relax and maybe do other shit? But hey, what do I know? That's another thing. Like, why would you want to get rid of the Fortress of Solitude in the second fucking film? And Richard Donner was talking about how you want to do a part 3 and a part 4. Then why did you want to get rid of Fortress of Solitude in the second fucking film? Again, like, why? even have the idea in the second film, he gets rid of his powers. Which again, the Donner cut, he comes off more of a dick. And then turn around the world again. Yes, I understand that was going to be the endings of the first film. No, I mean, that was when they were making the film Bat to Bat, that was going to be the ending of the second film. But when they're like, we're going to finish the first film, they went, you know what? This is a big scene. Let's put that at the end of the first film, because who knows what will happen. Let's have the big scene in the first film. And then they were going to write a new ending for the second film. Turning around the world was a stupid idea in any part. And that was from Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz. That wasn't from Richard Lester. Richard Lester didn't come up with that. Donner and Tom Mankiewicz. You talk about all the goofy stuff Richard Lester did and the other films, but going around the world is pretty fucking goofy too. Like going around the world and going back in time but only affecting like 3 things during that, it's pretty fucking silly too. But no one wants to say that. At least to Richard Donner's face. But yeah, going around the world and turn back time anytime you want is pretty fucking silly too. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. And then another thing you cut out of the Lester cut, which was a good scene, is when Superman returns the American flag to the top of the White House and says, Mr. President, I won't let you down again. That was a good scene. Yeah, it was patriotic. Of course, Superman is patriotic. That's why he had red and blue back in the day. And Fleischer cartoons where he's fighting, in World War II. I mean, so in the Donner cut, you cut out good stuff like General, would you care to step outside on the moment where he returns the American flag to the top of the White House. You cut out little stuff that gives personality to the characters, like at least this gave him a childlike theme, which is something. You have the stupid go around the world ending, which was lame as fuck the first time around. You have Lois acting like an idiot jumping off a building. She goes splat for her stupidity. A talky sequence in the Fortress of Solitude. At least the lesser cut had some excitement in it. Some excitement. Something happened. It's like Lester knew, hey, you're making a sequel, let's have some action in this. So you have the Paris opening. You have stuff actually happening in the fucking Fortress of Solitude. But yeah, I know a lot of people love the Richard Donner cut more. I disagree heartily. If you want to know why, go back to the beginning and rewatch the video. I'm sorry, the Richard Donner cut did not impress me. In fact, I think it's much weaker than the theatrical cut. And also, that's another thing. When Superman 2 came out, I thought it was always one of those sequels that was beloved. Like, I thought everyone enjoyed Superman 2. Like, I like Superman 2. I have issues with it, but I like it. But I thought everyone loved Superman 2. But I guess it was around this time where all of a sudden Superman 2, yeah, it's flawed and it's pretty crappy. And I'm like, when the hell did this come around? I've heard many people talk about how Superman 2 is better than Superman 1. I thought that was mostly the consensus, is that people thought Superman 2 was the best Superman movie. I would have mentioned that in my review of the previous film, but when I looked more into the Richard Donner cut and looked into stuff, I'm like, I didn't know that was the case, that Superman 2 was so much hated nowadays, the Lester cut. I'm like, it's not that fucking bad. But what do I know? It's still a solid sequel, in my opinion. But the Richard Donner cut is just a lot lamer. But that's just my opinion. But either way, I don't know what else to say. Thanks for watching. I know no one will agree with me, but oh well, it's still my opinion. The Lester cut, I think, is much superior to the Richard Donner cut. Sorry. But thanks for watching. Take care. We will see you in the next video. Later.